Hey, it's Jeff Pulver together with Thomas Howe, and yes, it's another edition of This Week in vCons. Thomas, how are vCons treating you this week?
I had a really good VCon week. The VCons were very, very good to me.
Oh, how so?
Well, so I had an offsite with my VConic team,
Ooh,
and which was almost a lot of fun. And I got to spend a time with one of my favorite geeks, Jeremy
oh,
Miller.
cool.
Yeah, he was there for a couple of days, and we got to geek out. And we're really working hard on agentic stuff in every part of our lives, and so we were doing some agentic development. And what does it mean? To how long can you let your agent go before you have to check in on them, and the
Right.
harness
And
around.
do you ever put humans in the loop with those AI agents, or
We
how
do.
does that
We
work?
have to. Well, that's one of the lessons that you actually have to. The question is where, right?
Right.
So that was
Yeah.
actually most of the discussion. So when do people come in, and why do they come in, and how does that work? And that was really awesome. And the VCon thing about that was we're working really hard on taking those agentic interactions that happen over MCP and putting them in the VCon as well, because that gives you a lot of visibility into not only the conversation but what happens because of the conversation. All right.
Now,
So
now, now for people who are new to our show, because we're starting to get viewership and people are starting to tune into This Week in vCons, and okay, our assumption is that people know what a virtualized conversation is, and maybe they've heard of MCP, they've heard of Anthropic, they know about an IPO coming out. So how
yeah,
do vCons and MCP work together, and how does that tie into this whole
that's a
agentic
great,
AI revolution?
full of good questions today, Jeff. Thank you. So MCP is basically, the way of thinking of it is USB C for AI. So if you had a laptop and you wanted to add something to the laptop, what do? You have to add it. If you want to add a camera, you plug it into the
They plug
USB
it in.
port, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so when AI models like Claude or ChatGPT, or your favorite, or Gemini, when they're trained, they're not trained on your personal data or your company's data. They're trained on their data, right? They don't know anything
Mhm.
about you. And
Right.
so how do you add in your data into their lives? Well, the protocol that we use is called MCP. Now, I will say there's actually two big ways of doing it. And one is to add it onto your own laptop inside your own environment, which a lot of people like because it's easy and it works. The trouble is it only stays in your laptop. So this is a MCP is how you do it across an internet, which is my deal. And so that's what MCP is. Okay.
Okay.
And then why does it make a difference with vCons? Well, just so happens that most conversations have the same shape. So you and I are having a conversation, and there's people, me and you, and we're
Right.
talking to each other. And you can record that and then analyze that. That's what a vCon does. Well, what would be if we were bots, we would be speaking MCP, but there'd still be a me and there'd still be a you,
Right.
and the dialogue is MCP now, and then we can want to analyze that later, right? So it's a conversation, but now one of the people's a bot. That's
Interesting.
my bot noise right there. It's
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really into the bots. I don't know if you noticed that.
But by the way, my ham radio call sign is WA2 bot. I'm one of the original
Are
BOTs.
you? Yeah, I never put that together. Are you real?
I am real, and I've been really. I was WN2 BOT, and then since 75, since 77 WA2 BOT.
I,
Yeah,
I'm just saying that if it ends up that you're not real, it explains a lot.
there you go.
There you
Well,
go.
maybe
And that was the tell. If you walk past the signpost, that's on you, right?
fair enough. I get that, but there's too many coincidences, and maybe it's not a
Right.
coincidence at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, what were the takeaways from working together on the agentic stuff with your team? Like, was there any
Oh my
aha
God, what a
moments?
new world we live in. I mean, what a new world we live in. So my takeaways were uh first of all, I think we're training ourselves from coders to bot wranglers. And that's our new job position, is to wrangle the bots,
Wrangle
which
the
is
bots. Now,
wrangle the bots or bot
are the
wrangling.
bots listening to you?
Well, that so there's an old saying in computing that a computer doesn't do what you want it to do; it does what you tell it to do.
Ah, okay.
And so, is it listening to me? Yes, unfortunately, too closely.
Hmm.
And that's sometimes more the problem than anything. So the first thing is bot wrangling, and that's a new life, which I kind of like. It's really interesting. The second thing is the whole conversational graph, the whole idea that there's a chunk of conversations which represents a brain or a, the history, or I think is really is past the event horizon, as they say. It's eventual. It's not gonna. It's not. I think it's going to be a thing in every business, because we're seeing so much benefit to everybody by having that place where the conversations live. So we've been talking to a lot of people in the industry, and we're getting a lot of really good feedback with that. So I got that good feedback. And the other thing which happened last week in the world of bots, that what didn't necessarily happen in the offsite, but you gotta mention it, is, have you heard about the new Claude model Mythos?
No.
So basically, it's a next generation of LLM, and it's really good at finding security holes.
Oh, too good, maybe.
It's way too good, and just it just has a I think it was OpenBSD, maybe FreeBSD, one of the BSD libraries that's been around and open and inspected and tested for 27 years. Mythos found bugs in it.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yes, after 27 years of all of us trying, it just walked in and did it.
Oh.
And you know what? And that you picked it up, right? This is it's actually a fairly dangerous moment, because
Yeah.
it means that's military grade hacking tool in everybody's hands.
Wow. That's a little dangerous. A little dangerous.
Yes, yeah. So they pulled it back. Project Glasswing is a consortium of a dozen companies, like Mozilla, et cetera, some of the big techs that are that have formed to make some kind of answer to this upcoming threat of
Yeah.
cyber intrusion by our body friends. So yeah, boy, is this getting real? I'm wrangling and they're shooting back.
Well, one of my takeaways from pulling back a little bit and just thinking about the evolution of vCons and the acceptance in business is that, when we were first talking about vCons, it was always a call center focus, that we're looking at the dark operational data that people never really focused on. But I'm thinking that one of the nuances of vCons is that conversations, they've always mattered across every business. And I think we finally can now start offering conversations, asset value in businesses that historically never had a call center.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, it's amazing. By the vCon really has torn down those silos in both directions.
Right. Think, just because I was at Channel Partners, and I spoke to a few of the voice AI companies, and I'm talking to some next week as a follow-up, and I'm thinking that the market segmentation, while so many people want to use all of those technologies inside of a call center, I actually think the broader opportunities to use it across the enterprise 100%. And across the consumer prize. It's not just for enterprises, it's for consumers too. And really, the whole history of instant messaging on the internet, right? It all came through individuals from ICQ, which got gommed up by AOL, it wasn't like Reuters decided to launch with Microsoft, instant messaging. It happened because people were using the consumer products, and then it went through the enterprise. And I think that maybe this has started on the enterprise side, but I do think the true value, the mass market adoption models, come from the consumers picking it up and using it.
Oh, well, so let me I'll drop the next thing about the offset. So we touched on this one too. So Jared has a new project called Soulstone. And Soulstone, yes, it's right up your alley, dude. This is very Pulverish of him. So basically, Soulstone is a application which runs on your Mac that just records you.
Oh, nice.
And then, and so what I've done was he's done it. It's an open project. So my team is running it on our stuff, and it's very private. It's just for you, for no one else. It doesn't get shared. It just gets on your disk. And so what I did was I took those into vCons and I put them into my Obsidian vault. Now I can finally, ask questions like, what did I say? Or it comes right to me, just for me, right?
That's awesome.
Right. Just like what you're saying. And there's an awful lot of stuff that we just can't have the bandwidth to remember that we wish we did, right?
Well, the thing is, I remember a famous Einstein quote, or at least one that's attributed to him, is that he allegedly didn't know his telephone number because it was available in the phone book. So he would not store in his mind local information that was otherwise readily accessible. And if
he was also famously bad at math,
which is just funny.
Which is hilarious.
And I don't know how much any of these are true, but this is what I remember. And so, but if we take that, to people, if the information that's readily available we leave alone, and we try and we use our minds to capture those abstract concepts that no one else gets, then perhaps we're actually more efficient, and maybe the AI helps us do the obvious and do the daily stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just for people who are healthy. I mean, think about the implications for like people who are going to dementia or senility. Like there's a whole bunch of like guardrail stuff too around, around just health.
Actually, if you think about it, like my mom suffered from dementia, and
mine too.
And the thing is, what if there was a way that people who were in early stages of Alzheimer's had a way to start capturing their memories, and we could build techniques to help them, even in their most far gone state, to trust that they are who they are, and the memories which they get in the morning really came from them, and there's a way to authenticate and train the mind so that they could extend themselves. So even if they're not connecting everything, there's a way to connect the dots internally.
Yep. It's a new world.
It's a brave new world, and it's just it's dynamic. So this week in vCons, by the way, I'm happy to say that we got an application. I won't mention the company because I like when people pay their membership dues. But we had four new companies came forward to join the vCon Foundation, and one company last week. So we have 5 new companies for the month of April joining us, and that's going to be awesome. Happy to, and then after the event at Channel Pointers, which was a vCon meetup, literally a meetup inside Grandstream's booth, or I should say meeting room, and thank you, Grandstream, for that. I decided to rename our scheduled meetings in different cities roadshows. So happy to announce that it's a now official Crescendo, Net Sapiens. Crescendo is hosting us in San Diego on May 6th. I happen to conveniently be out there in San Diego to speak, to help keynote or co-keynote a tax compliance conference. And thank you, Matt Lucas, for the invitation. And that's speaking on May 7th in San Diego. But on the 6th, at Crescendo's office, we're going to have a meetup from 10 a.m. to 12. And then on May 13th in New York City, the vCon Roadshow continues, and we're having I think from 11 to 1 on May 13th in New York City, a big meetup. And if you're a vCon developer, you're invited to come and showcase and show off your applications, because I really like at our previous meetups where it's not just talk, it's also show. And I look forward to people, showcasing and just showing off a little bit what they're doing with vCons. And because it's, for me, the ability for people to capture the essence of what a vCon is. And I'm now leaning in on Alon Cohn's container reference. I really liked his blog post.
Oh yeah, wasn't that great? Oh, Alon, thanks for that.
I mean,
I thought that was really, really good. I thought that was really good. Yeah, I saw that too.
And I just because so at the conference, Chris Fine and I were talking about how to explain vCons, and we got to encapsulation. And the idea was that, in the 70s with my cassette recorder, I could record, Bad Company singing All Right Now. And it was just a cassette. And then if I look at the MP3 of it, there's in the encapsulation, you get the name of the song, the writer, the running time, and a lot of information. And that would be like if I was using that, as an example of a vCon, you get all that metadata. Yeah. But the shipping container part really drives home, because I think that because it provided a way to standardize shipping globally that literally changed the way that shipping is done. Even today.
The whole universal container thing. Yeah. I mean, it really does, capture it beautifully. I've actually been working on a new keynote called Thinking in vCon.
Really? Now, how does that compare to Thinking in Vulkan?
Well, it's not as logical, first of all, and it's not as popular yet as Star Trek, but we're on the way. I haven't really come back to the what is a vCon work and for a few years, right? I've been doing all the consent stuff, and it's been really nice to come back and revisit it. And, and there's some, the thing that I'm really coming to in terms of like, how do I explain it? It's something like, everything that we've ever digitized that was important got a format. Like we digitized, documents, and we digitized photos and the like. I think conversations are next. And I think if you just step back for a second and say, why do we even have files? Why do files exist? They exist so we can store them, we can share them, we can have a shared definition. Right? These are the reasons why we have every file.
True.
And well, don't you think conversations deserve a file? I think they do.
I think they do. I think,
The same reasons.
I don't know where Ray Ozzie is in the vCon revolution, but I think if we can get, because Ray has built a lot of great platforms, including Lotus Notes. And I think that
Yes.
the attempt to have Lotus Notes in the 90s be the way to capture conversation inside of a company was sort of a prelude to just recognizing the value of a conversation.
Well, yeah. Well, if Ray Ozzie, you're out there, I want you to know that as I was writing this particular presentation, a man named John Landry, who was the CTO of Lotus, I've used his techniques. He taught me how to give a talk. So
Well,
I was thinking about John Landry.
I actually know John Landry. I met John Landry a long time. I was one of the unknown facts about me was for I don't know 5-6 years I was on the Lotus Development Corp Advisory Board because for as much as these days every fifth word out of my mouth is vCon this and vCon that, my sisters can testify that there was a time when every fifth word out of my mouth was about Lotus 123 this and Lotus 123 that, and it was like I was living inside of the spreadsheet. And I have to tell you that the big aha in my life was that when I went from a 2-dimensional world to a 3-dimensional world, that was like a big change because Lotus Release 2 to Lotus Release 3, that was a big fundamental shift in how I see the world.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, John doesn't live far from me. He used to come down to our tech council and give back when I was a kid, that long ago. I know he's not 100. He might be 100. I don't know. Hope he's alive. Go, John. Hope you're okay.
Well, look, it's but it's the thing is, vCons are alive and well.
They are.
I've actually been getting briefed by some large telecom equipment suppliers that they're adding vCons into their product line. And Thomas, as you suggested 2 years ago, that anyone who's offering SIP trunks should make them AI trunks because you got the media, you got the power. And so I think we're going to start seeing that. And
I think so too. No, it's an obvious product. It's an obvious product, and it really helps the phone company because it reduces their churn. It's an upsell to an existing customer. It gives them a place in the AI system. I think it's all these really great benefits to it. I really do.
Well, look, John, there's a lot going on. I'm looking forward to catching up with you next week. I will just put a slight plug in. Freewheel dial-up, if you know what it is, we've come back to life. It's been a 5 or 6 year effort. And we're in the early alpha stages. But if you remember FWD and you want to reclaim your old FWD number, reach out to me. We are now, it's SIP only, voice only. And soon you'll be able to get vCons for every conversation you make. And so there's implied consent, by the way, that it's okay to create vCons from your conversations. If you're looking for privacy, the new FWD might not be for you. But if you want to develop with vCons and have a friendly dev environment, every account gets a webhook, which should hopefully hook you into having a fun way to build and showcase your imagination.
Really cool. Don't worry. We'll put that consent attachment on the vCon so we know exactly what we promised and not promised.
Yeah, you got the consent.
Got the consent.
Well, hey, shout out to Wendy who said good morning, and shout out to all of you listening and watching. And that's Thomas. I'm Jeff. We'll be back here next week at This Week in vCons. And if you have a product that you want to talk about or an innovation or aha about vCons, come on down. We're looking for guests. We're happy to schedule a guest during upcoming episodes of This Week in vCons. Until next week, it's Jeff. It's Thomas. We'll say thank you for joining.